Did the Baltimore Ravens just pull off the most insane heist of the entire offseason, while the rest of the league was completely distracted by a blockbuster trade that literally went up in smoke? Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. Are we absolutely blind, or are we actually watching a front office masterclass unfold right under our noses? Everyone right now is screaming about what the front office failed to do over the last few months. The media is hyperventilating because we did not secure Max Crosby. The national talking heads are calling it a total disaster because that massive trade was completely rescinded. They are crying that we still have not added a brick wall starting offensive lineman. They are whining that we still do not have a reliable pass-catching tight end to take the pressure off our offense. People are losing their minds, looking at the empty spaces on the roster and shouting at the sky. But they are completely ignoring the absolute fireworks this front office actually set off. Yes, snatching up Trey Hendrickson was obviously the crown jewel of the spring. That was a massive, headline-grabbing move that put the entire AFC on notice. But there is another roster move, a completely silent, under-the-radar strike, that nobody is talking about. It is a signing that fundamentally changes the DNA of this defense, and I need to break it down right now. But wait until you hear the insider secret about why this specific player changes everything for our secondary. The absolute steal of the offseason was bringing in safety Jaylen Hawkins from the New England Patriots. We lock him down on a 2-year, $10 million contract. Now, you might look at that number and think it is just a depth move. But the analytics gurus just dropped their data for the most valuable free agency signings, and Jaylen Hawkins was sitting right there at the top of the list. $10 million over 2 years for a guy who instantly plugs the biggest leak in our defensive boat. The reason this signing is an absolute masterclass is that it proves the Ravens are finally learning from their own catastrophic mistakes. Last year, our defensive backfield was severely handcuffed. We love to run heavy, 3 safety packages. It is the heartbeat of our coverage scheme. But when we lost key depth last season, the front office completely sat on their hands. They waited forever to execute a trade for Alohi Gilman to fill that void. Waiting that long was a total disaster. By the time Gilman arrived, we had already lost crucial momentum. Yes, Gilman eventually worked out, but the delay forced our defense to play with one hand tied behind its back for weeks. This year, Eric DeCosta is getting ahead of the curve. He is neutralizing the problem before the season even kicks off. Getting Hawkins right out of the gate is proactive, aggressive roster building. But wait until you hear what the diehard fans in New England are saying about the guy we just stole from them. You know a player is an absolute dog when an opposing fan base is universally crying about losing him. I have a close source, a diehard Patriots fanatic who eats, sleeps, and breathes New England football. As soon as the ink dried on the Hawkins contract, my phone blew up. This is a guy who understands defensive schemes better than half the analysts on television. He texted me immediately and said, "Jaylen Hawkins is an absolute unit." He told me Hawkins was the undisputed commander of the Patriots secondary. He is wildly disciplined. He acts like a traffic cop out there, getting everybody lined up and putting guys in the correct positions before the snap. My source told me that the coaching staff up there absolutely love the guy. Sure, their highly drafted cornerbacks get all the flashy media love, and their defensive linemen get all the glory in the trenches. But Hawkins was the unsung hero, the absolute glue holding that New England secondary together. He is ferocious against the run, incredibly smart in zone coverage, and rarely gets burned over the top. My source even compared his playstyle to a prime Devin Cordy. Think about how bad we needed that exact skill set last year. We desperately needed a guy who just does his job, stays in his lane, and never gives up the cheap, explosive play. Hawkins is exactly that dude. And here is the craziest part. Not a single Patriots fan had a negative word to say about him leaving. 0. Every single comment was pure respect. Have you ever seen a fan base universally praise a guy walking out the door? Usually, it is pure betrayal. Fans get salty. They say the guy was a bum or just a role player. We have seen Ravens fans do it when our guys leave. But for Hawkins, it was nothing but flowers. Who's to blame for the Ravens' defensive struggles early last year? Drop a name below. Because Hawkins is about to erase those bad memories entirely. But wait until you see how this single signing is going to unlock the most dangerous weapon on our entire roster. This is the part that has me ready to run through a brick wall. Bringing in Jaylen Hawkins does not just give us a reliable safety, it completely unleashes Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton is a generational talent. He is an absolute mutant on the football field. But his superpower is his versatility. He needs to roam free. He needs to be the chaotic chess piece that offenses cannot track. You want him blitzing the A-gap on one play, covering a tight end on the next, and dropping into a deep third after that. But early last year, the coaching staff completely restricted him. They kept him on a leash because they did not have a reliable third safety to cover the traditional deep responsibilities. Hamilton had to play conventional football, which is a massive waste of his unique abilities. The exact second they brought in a veteran safety to handle the standard duties, Hamilton was unleashed, and the entire defense leveled up. It was a crime that it took them so long to figure that out last season. But signing Jaylen Hawkins means Kyle Hamilton gets to be a free-roaming missile from week one. With the brilliant defensive mind of Jesse Minter orchestrating this unit, the possibilities are genuinely terrifying for opposing quarterbacks. I cannot wait to see this defense hunt. But wait until we talk about the ultimate betrayal unfolding up north, and what it means for our locker room. Let's talk about the giant elephant in the room regarding our former head coach, John Harbaugh. Getting a new coaching staff was a massive breath of fresh air. Moving on from Harbaugh was the absolute best thing Steve Bisciotti could have done for this franchise, bringing a massive wave of optimism for this upcoming season. It confirmed what we, the diehard fans, have been screaming from the rooftops for years. The old way simply was not good enough anymore. But there is a seriously concerning trend happening right now. Harbaugh is up in New York coaching the Giants, and he is using that massive checkbook to poach our absolute best core guys. Seeing fan favorites like Patrick Ricard and Jordan Stout jump ship to go play in New York feels like a straight-up betrayal. It makes you wonder about the locker room divide from last season. Was Harbaugh already laying the groundwork for an exit? Did he know his time in Baltimore was over? We know ownership dropping the hammer caught a lot of people off guard. There were reports that players were completely blindsided by the firing. Harbaugh probably thought he was completely untouchable. He probably believed he could walk away on his own terms whenever he felt like it. Now, he is sitting in New York with a young quarterback, spending money like a madman, grabbing elite talent, paying top dollar for punters and fullbacks, and building an absolute war chest. It is so easy to lure guys away when you just slide a blank check across the table. He does not even have to give a grand speech to these free agents. He just shows them the money. But looking at what Harbaugh is doing with the Giants right now forces us to ask a very dark, very painful question about his time here in Baltimore. But wait until we expose the biggest missed opportunity in modern football history. Seeing Harbaugh aggressively build around a cheap quarterback in New York makes my blood boil, because it exposes the ultimate tragedy of the Lamar Jackson era. Where was this relentless, aggressive roster building in 2020? We have the most electric, terrifying, utterly unstoppable football player on the face of the planet in Lamar Jackson. He is a multi-time MVP, shattering records every time he steps on the grass. But when Lamar was on his rookie contract, the most valuable window in all of professional sports, the organization played it safe. Look around the league. Look at what the Miami Dolphins did the second they drafted Tua Tagovailoa. They went out and acquired track stars. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles trading for A.J. Brown to support Jalen Hurts. Look at the Buffalo Bills opening the vault for Josh Allen. Those front offices realized they had a cheap superstar quarterback and immediately went all in to build an Avengers-level squad around them. What did the Ravens do during Lamar's rookie deal? They hesitated. They drafted backup tight ends and relied on bargain bin wide receivers. They failed to construct an elite, road-grading offensive line when we needed it most. We had the ultimate cheat code, and instead of surrounding him with elite weapons, we asked him to put on a superhero cape and win games entirely by himself. It is the definition of a disaster. I hate using the word wasted, but there is no other way to frame it. They squandered the golden years of Lamar's cheapest contract. Yes, Eric DeCosta was the general manager back then too, and he shares a massive chunk of the blame. But the dynamic inside the building clearly stalled our potential. Time is the one thing in the NFL you can never buy back. You can restructure contracts, you can trade draft picks, but you cannot rewind the clock. Those early Lamar years are gone forever, and it is a bitter pill to swallow knowing we do not have a championship ring to show for it yet. But the past is the past. The old rigid system is dead, and the new era has arrived. With guys like Trey Hendrickson and Jaylen Hawkins locking down the defense, and a brand new philosophy inside the building, we are finally stepping into the light. This front office is awake, the coaching staff is hungry, and Baltimore is ready to take what is rightfully ours. Let's go to war.